Hi, and welcome to another Alliance War video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a war from a few days ago. We went up against SSX-1. I actually have quite a few good friends in this alliance, so this was a very fun one for me. I'm actually going to link a few channels down below of some of my good friends, DLL, Work in Progress, and Campo, so you can see their videos on this war from the other side of things as well. This was a pretty intense war that's got a lot of really fun and interesting fights. These guys really know what they're doing, and they are placed quite a bit higher than we are in terms of war rating. So this was a little bit of a mismatch in their favor. However, we still did our best. We did end up losing this war, but that's totally okay. We knew what we were getting into. So getting straight into the gameplay, today we've brought War Machine, Mr. Negative, and Sorc Supreme, three characters that I enjoy quite a lot. If you watch my channel, you know that I'm a very big advocate for War Machine. And we're going to be taking paths 6 and I believe 8 in section 2. For this torch fight, I decided to use War Machine, and I went in just using my energy resist pre-fight. I decided to only go in with this one just in case I ended up messing up at some point, and I felt really comfortable with this fight. I didn't feel like I needed any of the other ones. My plan was to not throw any specials because of strike back, and just kind of mitigate any of the block damage that I have with the huge armor and the energy resist, which, as you see, I'm taking very, very, very little damage overall. While this fight definitely isn't going to be showing off War Machine's huge damage potential, this is showing off just how tanky he is, especially against fights that have energy damage, since he can stack that armor and the energy resistance on top of each other, heavily mitigating all damage that you'll be taking. I will likely soon be doing a full War Machine showcase and kit breakdown. If you're interested in that, please just let me know. I've been going back and forth on it. I mean, he's been buffed for a little while now, but he's really not getting much recognition. But in the right hands, he's definitely a very, very powerful champion to have in your roster. So we're coming to the end of this fight. There really hasn't been much to talk about. I'm just baiting out Torch's special 1s as much as possible because I don't really want him to throw the special 2. That's the same reason I haven't been throwing any of my specials, just because of strike back. We're going to close this out with an awesome special 3 animation. One thing about War Machine is his hit counter is so heavily inflated when you're using his special 1 and special 3 that it really doesn't give the best picture to how much damage he's really outputting. So moving on, we're going to be taking this long shot. We're going to be using Mr. Negative here, and props to these guys on their placement, because you're going to see that they are running unfazed, which I was very unprepared for. I have never actually run into anybody running unfazed whenever I use Mr. Negative, and he and I have had a little bit of a falling out since the introduction of True Focus. I just haven't been able to bring him to war nearly as often as I did last season. There I tried to charge my heavy. I don't know what the hell happened. I just didn't end up counter evading at all, which is really weird because it should have. Took another couple of hits. That time I successfully got my evade, but he had unfazed, and then I caught the second hit of a heavy, and this fight is just a mess right now. So we're going to throw our special 2 and just get the degens going. Now we finally have it back under control, and I'm just going to let the degens burn him out, and that's going to be the end of that one. I did not like that fight whatsoever. It really just caught me off guard. So going into this next Maw fight, I was just as worried about unfazed, which he was running. So going in, I decided to heal up and get myself topped off because I knew that if he ended up counterattacking me and this fight got out of my control, that it could go sour really quickly. We're going to reactivate a boost here, try to go with an invulnerability boost, so that way if he does get unfazed procced, then I will, hopefully take significantly less damage if he decides to throw a full combo. I've taken quite a few Maws using Mr. Negative this season and last season especially, so I know how to play this fight really well. And I'm trying to play it like normal, just constantly reparry so that I can build up my light energy really high really quickly. There he got another unfazed proc, and just mixing with the falters and everything. Like, I'm just trying to play this as best I can. I wanted to get to a special 2. I don't believe I end up getting to it. However, I'm at very least not being degened by him, which is good because I don't have any of my debuffs placed on him. I actually will still take full damage from that degen, though because he's awakened I would get a little bit of healing back from it. It wouldn't be anything substantial. So we're going to go for our special 1 right here, just to place the exhaustion on him and convert some light energy, get that bulwark passive going. I just decided to block the special 2 just in case I wanted to play it safer. I didn't want to end up dying to this mob because I do have to take the man thing right after this. Here, I don't know why I did that. Of course, not the best plan. But at very least I am going to get mauled down without dying. So at this point, I'm honestly really worried about the next fight that I have. I had the Power Snack Man thing, which is a fight I've done a dozen times with Mr. Negative. It's a fight that I normally feel very comfortable with. However, at this point, because of Unfazed, I got really worried, so I threw on way too many boosts. I healed up. I actually dueled this guy prior, so I did know for sure that he had Unfazed on. And I'm going to go into here, like I said, with just every boost that I could possibly throw on, because I didn't want to end up letting this fight get out of hand. Luckily though, this fight goes basically as perfectly as possible. As you'll see shortly, I'm going to be converting his special 1 buffs that he places on me into additional light energy, and then go for my counterattack to convert some of that light energy. And I actually don't have Unfazed proc, which is really weird. I was surprised. So we're going to build up to my special 2. At this point, we want as much dark energy as possible so that we can have a really big amount of degen and push him over the threshold for backup recovery, because while the petrifies are up, of course, all that power gain is going to be reversed. So with all these degens, his health is going down extremely rapidly, and the petrifies have done their job at reversing the backup recovery power gain. And at this point, we're actually going to go for another counterattack. However, he does get Unfazed proc. Though due to my indestructible boost, I didn't end up taking any damage since he did a shortened combo. Next up, moving into section 2, we are going to be on path 8. We've got a Tigra and Silver Surfer. For this Tiger fight, we're going to go in with our Mr. Negative. I'm honestly not really worried about this fight anymore. I'm going to play it a little bit differently than how I normally play Negative and do significantly less counterattacks because I don't want Unfazed to proc. I did end up actually having some input issues in this fight. You'll see a few times that when she throws her special 1, it looks like I just block it on purpose. I don't ever do that. You know, she is unblockable on her specials in most cases, so it'd be really dumb of me to purposefully block them. I tried to dex, but for some reason it just acted as if I had decided to block. So here I'm throwing my special 1 so that I can convert my light energy into dark so that I don't have to do any counterattacks. Because I know that he is running unfazed, I don't want to end up taking some unblocked hits. The AI got a little uncooperative for me here. I kept on trying to bait out her special 1. I really don't want to get pinned to the corner and have to do her special 2. So there I hit into her a few times and just tried to get her to throw her special 1. Here's another instance where it just looks like I'm blocking it rather than evading. I really don't know what's going on there. It's a little bit frustrating though. Here we counterattack, go for big special 2, and now this fight is completely over. Even if she were to have thrown her special 2, the degen would have gotten her down before she had a chance to really retaliate and do a significant amount of damage to me. Next up, we've got a Silver Surfer on Rich Get Richer node. We're going to be taking our Sorc Supreme in there. I had already placed my Icon's Ingenuity pre-fight on there, so I started in my Power Steel phase. That way I could rush up to my special 1 before Divine Barrier came up and nullify his Power Cosmic. Throughout this fight, the passive heal block on me actually really ends up hurting me a lot more than I thought it would. His special 2 is a little bit weird for me. There's been quite a few times where I've ended up taking like the ladder hits of it if I try to dex the full thing. So I tried to just block it as much as possible, but because of the heal block, whenever I do that, I'm not actually getting any health back from the regeneration node. So thankfully through this fight, Surfer has been very lenient in throwing his specials. Right here he did get pretty close to a special 3, though luckily he immediately went into his special 2, blocked the full thing, and it does a bit of damage into block, but nothing I'm really worried about right now. We're going to keep on cycling our special 1s and special 2s. I believe right here actually I tried to get back into my power steal phase, which then runs out by the time that his special is over. And then I go for a special 3. I end up doing it in, I think, the armor break phase. He throws another special 2. This time I didn't have the right blessing active. It's really not a big deal. I haven't lost a ton of health through this fight anyways, so I'm not really stressing about it. So after the special 3, it is going to leave him pretty high in terms of power. Luckily I do still have my invulnerability boost from my previous fight. So if he were to get to his special 3, which he does, then I won't be taking any damage from it. And of course here he does throw that special 3. Again, luckily I do have the invulnerability, so I'm not going to be taking any damage here. As soon as I come out of it, I'm just going to hit into him a couple of times and this fight is completely done with. I did go for my special 1 right here, however his phase wasn't completely done, so I did miss the first hit, but luckily he stayed aggressive into me, and the latter half of it was able to hit. Next up, we have what is essentially my specialty fight this season, being War Machine versus Bishop, this time on Safeguard and Vigorous Assault. This is one of the most common placements that we've seen this season. And I definitely understand why. It is a pain in the ass if you don't bring the right counter. Luckily though, I love using War Machine, and that is who I've used against basically every bishop we've seen on the boss island this season. This time I actually was completely out of invulnerability boost, so I just did a power start 1 and got to my special 2 significantly quicker. We do want that armor break on even though the damage is capped, because it'll allow us to have guaranteed ruptures on the special 1, which we're going to throw off here shortly. As you'll see in this fight, I play very defensively. The main goal is to get Bishop to only throw his special 2. That way we don't have to worry about the incineration aura off of his special 1. So you'll see me constantly holding block through this fight. Essentially anytime that he's above 1 bar of power or very close to it, I'm going to shorten my combo and then immediately block rather than dashing back and then blocking. The reason that I do this is because while you're dashing back, it actually allows the AI to throw their special, whereas in most cases, the AI will not throw it into a blocking opponent. This fight does a really good job at showcasing just how good War Machine is in terms of his tankiness. I've taken so many blocked hits this fight, and I've barely lost any health. This is because he has a massive armor up, and additionally his energy resist pre-fight that he can place on himself grants him about 68% energy resistance. This next fight is actually one of my good friends, DLL. Again, I'm going to link his channel and a couple others down below. This Mysterio is a really good placement because when you're fighting Mysterio, you don't want to be hitting into him after his special 1 because of the reflection damage, and you really can't without a miss counter on his special 2, at least not reliably. So I like this placement a lot. It really forces you to have to take brute force damage several times through the fight. I ended up choosing War Machine rather than Sorcerer going into this fight because I was planning on using Sorcerer for the boss here, and War Machine actually has the extremely long armor breaks on his special 2 anyways, and is arguably even more tanky than she is. I have already taken a bit of brute force damage in this fight, however we all know how Mysterio tends to act, and his AI being extremely weird. So here he just refuses to throw a special, I end up throwing another light just to get that brute force off of me again. However, he's still playing super passively and I take even more damage. Because I have my pre-fights all applied to myself, I was able to shrug the power drain that he placed on his special 2 off of myself, and I choose to push him up to another special 2 as well, which thankfully he ends up throwing right away. This way I parry him and I hit into him just so that I don't take any more brute force damage. Here we're just going to keep on moving forward and build up our power meter even more. And we're going to end up going for our special 3 to end this fight. While I could have gone for it right now, I decided to play it safe and wait. It does do a very significant amount of damage, and you get a passive fury per armor break that you have on the opponent. So it would have probably killed him, and additionally it does grant a stun off of it as well. But I just decided to play it safe and go for it right now. And we're going to see this amazing animation again. Mysterio is going to come out of this with very low health, and I'm going to finish him off in just a couple hits. And again, this special 3 does 28 hits, so it doesn't do the best job of showing just how much damage War Machine is outputting, since it inflates his hit counter by so much. For our last fight today, we have a Mangog boss that I decided I was going to take with Sorc Supreme. I do not recommend Sorc Supreme for Mangog. Because she cannot place armor breaks on him, her damage is extremely heavily mitigated. While she is safe in a sense, being able to slow him and have the regeneration on block, you're going to time out in this fight, as you'll see. My plan going in was just to constantly nullify all of the resistance buffs so that maybe I could out damage it. But as you'll see, it just gets really late in the fight and he's still at around like 50% health with I think 2 minutes left in the fight. So she just doesn't output enough without those armor breaks. While this fight does end up being a loss for me, I am pretty happy with the fight overall. It does showcase just how good and how sustainable Sorc Supreme is, and I mean, she has very good utility. It's just that for this fight in particular, she's not going to be able to do what you need her to do within a 5-minute period, at least in Alliance War. So we're about a minute into the fight, and we've done a small chunk of damage. We are going to go for our special 3 here in just a second, so that we have the healing rune on ourselves for the rest of the fight, so that anytime we block, we're going to be regenning any of the health. However, I mean, we have regened up to 100% health, even though we've taken a ton of blocked hits and actually came in with less than full health. And it really does showcase just how sustainable she is. We're going to fully block his special 2, and it barely even scratches us. So again, if you're ever in something like story content or regular act content, anything like that, Sorc Supreme is going to be a pretty good option for Mangog. It's just for war itself, she's not going to be able to out damage the timer that you have against yourself. Even though we're cycling our special 2s here and we have a 200% power back boost, we're really not getting much power back just because of the fact that she isn't dealing the damage that she needs to. At this point in the fight, we're about halfway through the timer and I can see that we've barely done 30% health, so I'm a little bit disheartened. Here we just take a combo to the face for some reason, and then very shortly we end up messing up pretty badly. I knew that this would end up being a timeout very shortly into my time into this fight, which is unfortunate, but I just, it is what it is. I had considered bringing in She-Hulk instead, which would have been a better option, but now I know for the future. Here I accidentally instinctively dashed back during his special 2, which is a death sentence, and it got me killed. So I wanted to say congrats to the team of SSX-1. They did end up winning this war. However, it was really fun for us to be able to go up against y'all. Even though it was a little bit of a mismatch, I had a really fun time, and it was really good to get to go up against a group of friends of mine. So if you all enjoyed watching, please just let me know down below, and let me know what you think about the War Machine guide and breakdown idea. If you all end up wanting to see it, just let me know, and I'm more than happy to start working on it. It'll just take me a little while with my work schedule and everything. But again, if you enjoyed watching, just let me know, and thank you so much if you made this far.